The Holy Roman Empire, which existed from 800 to 1806, is one of the most intriguing and complex political entities in European history. It was neither holy nor Roman, nor truly an empire in the traditional sense of the term. Rather, it was a loose confederation of territories, kingdoms, and principalities that held the claim to the legacy of the Roman Empire, yet struggled with the fragmentation of power that ultimately rendered it ineffective in terms of centralized governance. Despite its inconsistencies and challenges, the Holy Roman Empire remained a central player in European history for over 1,000 years. Origins and the formation of the Holy Roman Empire. The origins of the Holy Roman Empire can be traced back to the coronation of Charlemagne as the Emperor of the Romans in 800 by Pope Leo III. Charlemagne's reign marked a revival of the imperial title in the West after the fall of the Western Roman Empire in 476 AD. His empire spanned much of Western Europe, and while Charlemagne was not directly inheriting the old Roman Empire, his reign was seen as a restoration of Roman ideals and governance. However, after his death, his vast empire was divided among his grandsons, and the idea of a unified Western Empire began to fragment. The Holy Roman Empire, as it is known historically, took shape in 843 following the Treaty of Verdun, which divided the Carolingian Empire into three parts. In 962, the German king Otto I was crowned emperor by Pope John XII, officially beginning what would become the Holy Roman Empire. Otto's reign is often seen as the foundation of the empire, which would continue in various forms for nearly a millennium. From this point on, the emperors of the Holy Roman Empire held the title of Emperor of the Romans, although their authority and power were far more limited than their title would suggest. The structure of the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire was a decentralized, fragmented entity composed of numerous kingdoms, duchies, principalities, free cities, and ecclesiastical territories. The emperor, while holding the imperial title, often lacked the power to control these diverse territories. Instead, much of the actual governance took place at the local level, with powerful regional rulers and institutions asserting their autonomy. This decentralization made it difficult for the Holy Roman Empire to function as a centralized state, despite its imperial claims. At the heart of the empire was the emperor, who was elected by a group of prince-electors. This electoral system was established in the 13th century and remained in place until the dissolution of the empire in 1806. The electors were powerful territorial princes who had the right to choose the emperor, but this system often led to competing factions and alliances, making the election of an emperor a contentious process. As a result, the Holy Roman Empire was rarely ruled by a single, strong monarch, and the emperor's authority was often symbolic rather than effective. The vastness of the empire and the diversity of its territories created further challenges. The Holy Roman Empire encompassed regions that are now part of modern-day Germany, Austria, Switzerland, the Czech Republic, Belgium, the Netherlands, and parts of Italy and France. These territories were home to different cultures, languages, and religious traditions, further complicating the empire's ability to function as a unified entity. The various states and regions within the empire often had different political interests, making cooperation and unity difficult to achieve. The role of religion and the papacy. Religion played a significant role in the history of the Holy Roman Empire, as the title of emperor was closely tied to the Roman Catholic Church. The Pope, as the leader of the Church, had the power to crown emperors, giving the papacy considerable influence over the empire. In the early centuries of the empire, the relationship between the emperor and the Pope was relatively harmonious, with the emperor serving as the protector of the Church and its interests. However, this relationship became increasingly strained over time. The most famous example of this tension was the investiture controversy in the 11th and 12th centuries, a conflict between the emperor and the pope over who had the right to appoint church officials. The papacy sought to assert its authority over the emperor, leading to a series of power struggles between the two institutions. The resolution of the investiture controversy in 1122 with the Concordat of Worms marked a compromise, but it did not fully resolve the underlying tensions between secular and religious authority. Throughout the Middle Ages, the papacy and the emperor were often at odds, with both seeking to assert their power and influence over the empire. This conflict contributed to the fragmentation of the Holy Roman Empire, as different territories aligned themselves with either the emperor or the pope, depending on their interests. The Holy Roman Empire in the early modern period. By the early modern period, the Holy Roman Empire had become a patchwork of semi-independent states. The emperor's power was largely symbolic, and the empire's structure had become increasingly fragmented. The rise of powerful nation-states in the 16th and 17th centuries further eroded the authority of the Holy Roman Empire. The Protestant Reformation, which began in 1517, was another key factor that contributed to the fragmentation of the empire. The Reformation led to religious conflict within the empire as Protestant and Catholic territories vied for power and influence. The resulting religious wars, including the 30 Years' War, 1618 to 1648, devastated much of Central Europe. The Peace of Westphalia, which ended the 30 Years' War, further solidified the division of the empire into Protestant and Catholic regions, giving each state within the empire the right to determine its own religion. This further weakened the central authority of the emperor, as local rulers were able to assert more control over their territories. In the 18th century, the Holy Roman Empire continued to exist in name, but it had little practical power. The rise of powerful monarchies in France, Britain, and Russia overshadowed the Holy Roman Empire, and its territories were increasingly absorbed into larger European states. The Austrian Habsburgs, who had long held the imperial throne, continued to rule over much of Central Europe, but they were increasingly focused on their own interests rather than those of the empire as a whole. The decline and dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire. The Holy Roman Empire's final years were marked by political fragmentation and decline. The Napoleonic Wars, which began in the early 19th century, further destabilized the empire. Napoleon Bonaparte's conquests in Europe led to the dissolution of the Holy Roman Empire in 1806. In that year, Emperor Francis II, who had ruled the empire since 1792, formally renounced the title of Holy Roman Emperor and became Emperor of Austria, a title he retained until his death in 1835. The Holy Roman Empire's dissolution marked the end of an era in European history. The empire had lasted for over 1,000 years, but by the time of its collapse, it had become little more than a shadow of its former self. Its imperial claims had long been undermined by the fragmentation of power, and the rise of centralized nation-states made the idea of a unified Holy Roman Empire increasingly untenable. The Holy Roman Empire remains a fascinating example of a political entity that, despite its claims to imperial grandeur, was characterized by fragmentation and decentralization. It was an empire in name only, with its emperor often serving as a symbolic figurehead rather than a powerful ruler. The empire's complex structure, its relationship with the papacy, and the rise of powerful nation-states all contributed to its eventual decline and dissolution. Yet, despite its many challenges, the Holy Roman Empire played a significant role in shaping the history of Europe, and its legacy can still be seen in the political and cultural landscape of modern Europe.